Alright, so I got this new setup from One Win. I got it off of Amazon. I decided since I got the underquilt already, I'm going to go ahead and get the hammock. And then there is a gear hammock that goes underneath your hammock as well. So I'm going to try that out. This one comes with a bug net, and it has a ridge line, which I've never used a ridge line on my hammocks before. So that's something kind of new to me. It's described as am steel, so it should be pretty strong. Basically, the weight of your hammock is going to be distributed across the ridge line, the rope going across, and you want it to be 83% of the length of the hammock, whatever that calculates out to be. I don't know, I just kind of eyeball it because I'm still new at this. So if you look, I've got just a little over a 30-degree hang, which is what's described as the best kind of hang. Like I said, I'm still playing with this. So it comes with the straps, the bug net, the ridge line hanger, and your hammock all in one bag. And then separately, it's the underquilt that comes in another bag. So that way you have two bags. And then third, you have a really small bag, which is kind of like, I thought would be a hammock seat, but it didn't end up supporting my weight. So if you want to use the smaller hammock, I'll get a picture of that. If you want to use the smaller hammock as a gear hammock, that's totally fine. But if you want to sit in it, you're going to have to upgrade the ropes. All right, I'll bring you in for a closer look in just a second. So it doesn't matter what your angle of hang is on these ropes off to the side. You adjust the ridge line to accommodate for your angle here. And the ridge line and the ropes are what holds your weight, not the hammock itself. So after doing some research on YouTube, I found Shug, and he recommended a book called The Perfect Hang, as well as I watched a lot of video on demonstrations on how to set this up. I'd never actually had any experience with a ridge line or a setup like this before, so this is my first time. I'll bring you in for a closer look in just a minute. But for right now, I want to sit in it and see how it feels laying in it. So. I like how it kind of makes you lay diagonally in the hammock. There's no seam in the middle, so it doesn't create that tight ridge in the center. And the hammock is definitely large enough to lay in it diagonally. I'll get to test it out this winter with the underquilt and see what it feels like, in the colder temperatures. But for right now, let's pull this bug net over. So once you have the hammock set up, basically you're just going to feed your bug net over the top of it. Down on the end, and then basically what's going on here is that you're going to crawl in through the bottom. So most bug nets, they set up with a zipper here, or they're attached to the hammock, or it's separate, so that way it's kind of modular. You can use it or not use it. Typically when I'm using the hammock, I don't use bug nets because it's colder temperatures, so I don't need them. It's better than my Eno because my Eno zips up the side and it kind of turns it into a cocoon, like it's giving birth to me every time I get in or get out. It's really a pain to try to get in and out of the hammock with the zipper on the side here. So I do like the way this is set up better. So I'll bring you in for a closer shot. Okay, now here it is. I brought the bug net off to the side, here it is with the underquilt attached, and the underquilt is attached with this carabiner here. You can see I threw just like a little hitch knot in here because I don't want this slipping out. It's fine, but when you put weight on it, it kind of tweaks these a little bit, and if these are crooked, then they're going to slip. So you want these to be as straight as possible, and when you put weight on it, like with this carabiner here off to one side, and when the weight of you, like you actually being in the hammock, if this isn't perfectly straight, these will turn to a canter a little bit, and then this will start sliding. So if you throw a hitch in it, then it'll keep it from backing out. So here's the underquilt again. I already showed this in a video, so I'm not going to explain it too much, but I backed off on all of these all the way. So the knot is all the way to the adjustment. So you have adjustments going this way, and then you have adjustments going that way, and then you also have adjustments down here on the bottom to accommodate for sleeping inside of it. So as you get in it and lay down, this will actually turn and contort to however you're laying, whether you're laying sideways or not. So I did the same thing to this side. You can see that they have a color coding with the carabiners, and I'm not exactly sure what that is for. You can see I have another hitch knot on this side here for this. You do have two loops on this for the hammock strap. Here is a loop here that you would feed this through. Typically you want this to be straighter, so that way you're not putting all the pressure on here or on this piece here. So you want these to be straight off to the side, so it's coming straight out and all of the weight is here and not here. So as it comes in, I'll go ahead and take this off, but you can see that the ridge line is run off of these buckles here. Okay, so as you can see, as we go down the ridge line here, here's the bag, and it just has two separate compartments. So basically, let's see, put my wallet in there, put your phone in here, and I don't know, I guess you can get your phone and some other stuff in here. Anyways, so that's the bag. Here is your adjustment for what I believe is the am steel. So it looks like it wraps around itself, and it's held together through friction. So this is your tag end here, and it has a simple knot on the end, so that way it won't back through itself. And you push this either this way or push it this way, and it will allow you to adjust your ridge line. Now here, I wasn't exactly sure what to do with this because it didn't come with a carabiner or anything like that, and I didn't have one on hand. So I decided to wrap it around this buckle and through this knot here, so the ridge line is sitting on the hammock itself, the cord for the hammock. This is made out of the same material as this, so it's supposed to be pretty strong. Here's what I was talking about with the color coordination, the other side being silver, this side being black. I don't know exactly what that means, but you can see that I adjusted these all the way out so they will accommodate for the lower hang on the hammock. So let me take this underquilt off and let me show you the rest of it. Okay, now here it is with just the hammock, and you can see that the ridge line is tied into this buckle, and this is what I mean by the buckle turning sideways. When you're pinching on this corner, basically you're causing this buckle to want to turn while it has this through it. Now these actually work pretty well because you can see this V here. It actually has a groove on the inside, and when you put weight on it, it wants to close on itself, and it cinches the rope pretty well. As long as this is straight. When it turns crooked, that's when this starts to move. So you want to put in these hitches. I do like how their bags are double-ended. It makes putting it away and taking it out easy without having to touch the ground, which is kind of nice. So again, there's the bag, and this is the ridge line. Here it is hooked to the other side. You can see I didn't have a carabiner, so I actually tied it through all these knots here. In the future, I'll probably just add a carabiner because it's hard to adjust this in or out when you can't move the rope through this knot here. It doesn't want to slip here, so but it's not a bad thing. You can adjust it and then throw it back through, which is totally fine too. Just means it's not going to move. Added security. So you can see on the hammock here, it has a kind of like a honeycomb look to it, and there is no seam in the middle, which is pretty nice. So this is, they call this a double, and I would say it is a double. You could fit 2 smaller people in here without a doubt. Children, or just smaller frame people in here, or you can fit one big guy like me. Once you get the bug net on, it was not difficult to get in and out of it, which I do actually kind of like. So on the bottom down here, you have a bungee cord going around the whole length of the bottom, and all you have to do, I guess if you were to set it up, make sure that the closure is on your head end. Actually, it's on both ends, so it doesn't matter. You do have a bungee closure on both ends, so you can adjust it and make it a little tighter than the way I had it. I didn't have it very tight, so obviously it can be set up a little better if you're a little more patient than me. So that's about it. We have the hitch here, and here it is around the tree. They do give you adequate straps. This is a very large tree. I don't know if you can see that or not, but I'm under a sugar maple, and this is a pretty large trunk. So I appreciate the fact that they give you enough strap, because I have about, I don't know, I'd say about maybe 18 to 20 feet here between these two trees. It could be less, so, but it's not too much less. So I appreciate that they did that. Overall, this is a nicer hammock than the Eno that I've been using. So I'll continue to use this one in the future. I'll give you guys an update later on. If you follow me on Instagram, Fellowship Around the Fire, or Facebook, you'll be seeing more of it, especially in the wintertime camping. So this is it, all packed up. I hope everybody is able to take away something from this video and learn something. I think that for the price, I paid less for the underquilt, the hammock and bug net straps, and the gear hammock here. I paid less for this than I did for my Eno setup. So I think for the price, you're actually getting a pretty decent product, and that's why I'm doing this video, is because I found it and I believe it to be you know, an option, especially if your budget's pretty low. Like I said, I don't want to sink a bunch of money into hammocks camping because I have other options, you know, tarps, and I just got a wax canvas tarp, as a matter of fact, and a bivvy, which to me is pretty ideal, but I do like this option as well. So I'm going to be going forward using this, and stay tuned. I will give you a brief description on this little gear hammock. They advertise it on Amazon as well. It's by the same company that I got my hammock and my underquilt through, as a seat, and they do show a picture of a dog, or like a pet hammock, that was hanging underneath of the other hammock that I had set up. However, I find that as this comes, it is inadequate, for one, as a seat, and it is inadequate as a gear hammock hanging underneath the other hammock. The reason why is the ropes are too short, and they will not support your weight. The buckle system is pretty neat, the way it sets up. As a gear hammock, I can get my backpack in here. You can put your stuff in here without it being on the wet ground. Here in Washington, I live in the rainforest, and there is usually moisture on the ground anyways, so it's nice to have your gear off the ground. So here it is. It's about, I'd say, 5 feet long possibly, and there is a reference of the underquilt and the hammock and the straps and everything. Here's the rope I was talking about. You can see I tried to sit in it earlier, and I wish I had video of it because it did bust on me, but you can see that it's starting to fray here, and I bent one of these buckles a little bit. It got a little bit warped. So the system is pretty neat the way it is. It ties onto here, loops around the tree. You do have a tree strap, which is kind of like a piece of plastic, and it comes around, and basically you're just pinching a loop in the cord and feeding it through the buckle and then over this little tip. That's all it is. So it's really simple. I really like this idea. And here it is, all tied together. You can see that you have a place for your drink here. You can see that there's quite a bit of material left over that, you know, if you trim your dog's nails, I guess you could put your dog in here. Or maybe if you put a blanket down, you could have your pet in a hammock if your pet is something, you know, if your pet would do that. Mine won't. We tried, and he wasn't having it. So here's the other side. So relatively small trees here. Where I set this up, you can see I had to tie it together a couple of times because it did actually it did break on me, and I did end up on the ground. It was pretty funny, and my wife was not filming at the time, and she wished she had been. So that's it. That's a gear hammock. I will be replacing these ropes, and I will try to use it as a seat, just not right now. I assumed that, because there wasn't really any information on Amazon as to whether it would or not, I assumed that it might be used as a seat, but no, it wasn't happening. So this will either become my son's or my wife's hammock chair. I will upgrade the ropes, and I'll give you an update later, or you know, maybe you'll see a picture of it or something like that on my Instagram page, which is Fellowship Around the Fire, same name as my YouTube channel. or my Facebook page. So I'll be using this in the future as well. And that's a look at the One Wind gear hammock. I think it's what it's called. I'll throw a picture in the beginning of the video. And there it is, all packed up. Pretty easy. It's small, and it'll fit in the pocket, so it'll be easy to grab and deploy it before you have to set up camp. So again, I appreciate everybody watching. Thank you all for your support, and enjoy the outdoors.